That one.
I ain't know if you want to, glance at the notes. Here's
No.
my couples.
Okay. No, I mean this one at the bottom here was just freaking brilliant. That was brilliant. Oh man, I had to do it. Take that.
Why you swiping on my stories, man?
No, no, no,
You ain't
no.
ready?
That's the one at the bottom. Yeah, we've been ready since 7 o'clock. Now I'm playing.
I wasn't here at 7
I
o'clock.
was here. I was here at 6:55.
I was, I was turning the corner. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mind of a Band. I'm your host, Elder James Jones, and my co-host.
Toby from Mississippi.
Hey, it almost sounded like he said Toby from Mississippi, but that's not what he said.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to make y'all laugh and smile because, sometimes we get into topics and we get so serious. But I was listening to the radio uh, earlier today, actually my phone, and I was listening to this conversation, and um, she was talking about she deals with finances, but she was bringing up the subject of how her and her husband had taken this long drive and they were going to a wedding. Right, so the drive was like 15 hours or so. She said when she got out the car, she was so hot and so ticked off and so mad that she said when she pulled up, she seen this chick climbing through the window at this hotel. She was like, "What the frick going on?" It's like she just got through having her business, and that's how she came out. She didn't come through the front door. And then the
Wow.
conversation went like, she's like, "Okay, so they go to check in, and it's like, what is this, like a Roach Motel?" And she turned to her husband and said, "It's like the Roach Motel," and he got mad because of the long drive and because she left the itinerary up to him. So the friend who he was going to see for the wedding, his wife to be came and said, "Oh, what the heck? No, what's going on? Why y'all at this place?" And it was so funny because what I actually laughed at, Toby, was our attitudes, how we are when we're supposed to be going on a vacation or a trip that's supposed to be fun, and it just ends up like friction because of traffic, and it can be like, I didn't get the hotel I want. Did you get the money? Did you finish this at the job? They want me to come back early. They want me. So then it just brings all this tension. And what she was talking about was they had a brand new baby in the car, and they had an electric car, so they had a Tesla. So he's making all these stops. And we have high gas prices.
Gas
So,
prices now.
so if you don't know about electric cars, and I was reading about some of the electric stations don't have, like what Tesla has, a real fast charge. So he was making extra stops, man. Just like, okay, we're only gonna stay here for 15 minutes. It's going to charge up for like 20% or so forth and so on. So I'm listening to this conversation. I was like, wow. I remember how I used to get upset on long trips. It wasn't the driving part was the easy part because I got to relax somewhat, but I had to hear all the conversations. So if I wanted to listen to a music, I got all the kids in the car, so I couldn't listen to what I wanted to listen to. And a lot of times I listened to books on tape, so I couldn't listen to my
Audio.
books on tape because I don't like to hear music repeated over and over again. Then you're trying to have a conversation with your significant other, and they fall asleep, which leaves you with all the driving. And when you got a long drive, you're like, I really want to play the music I want to listen to, but they don't want to listen to.
Right.
And then, like, some people say, I don't care, I'm driving, so I need to take control. It's my car.
It's your car.
I do what I want to
do and listen to what I want to listen to.
And then I kind of had to laugh because when she said they kept making all these stops,
Right.
they had a baby. Two, because electrics, you have to keep them charged so much, right? And the funny part was, it took them 15 hours. But this was the funny part. I thought about myself when I used to take trips with my kids and with my wife, and I didn't want to make a whole lot of stops. They know me. They're like,
Me too.
Look,
I'm like that.
don't be drinking a whole lot of water. Don't be drinking no whole lot of Kool-Aid. Act like we're going to stop somewhere and use the bathroom.
Wherever I get gas, wherever I get gas, get
There
everything
you
you
go.
want there. Yep.
I ain't stopping.
I'm not stopping.
I'm not stopping. And that's the funny thing. I'm like, I'm only stopping. And then someone, and it never fails, someone always got the emergency. And we got to find either a rest stop or the nearest gas station.
That has all the facilities.
Yeah. And get this. Because I have some daughters, the thing is,
A whole different ball game.
yeah. Oh, no, you can't go in that restroom. You know, for men, it's okay to go.
It's a man, right? It's easy for men.
Yeah, but for women,
No,
you gotta find. Look, you gotta find one of them nice trucks or nice restaurants.
that's clean and
Right.
yep.
So I got off kilter just to say welcome, welcome. And to recap, our last show was about emotions. Do men really cry? And the effect that they have on our everyday life. And so that was our show from the last time. So today's show, our topic or our subject, I like to say the topic is, or the name of it is your money funny and your change strange? And your subject is today, can men handle their money? Can men really have their money? Handle their money? I stand corrected. Can we brothers? Or let me not generalize it. Let me not put men in that box. It is mind of a man. But let's look at it because we have some sisters that view, but y'all want to know about us men. And I would tell you before we get to the subject, I was always informed a new thing that we're doing, and it's about couples. And I always read something about couples. And this week happens to be on happiness, a matter that needs to be focused on is happiness. So, Ecclesiastes 7:3 says, by a sad countenance, the heart is made better. There's this couple, and they have a confession, as the woman puts it, about are they happy in their marriage? You know, and then what constitutes the happiness? Because what might make you laugh or smile might not make me laugh or smile.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing. After the subject was brought up, it was said, when I felt the need to refocus on the positive of my marriage, I looked at the truth of Romans 8:32. He who did not spare his own son, how should he not with him also freely give us all things? And meditating on the truth, we should always appreciate not what we don't have, but what we do have.
What we do have.
Right. Because Western culture always, well, he did this wrong and he did that wrong, We don't never go nowhere. He don't appreciate me. She always wants to, go shopping, or she wants to eat here all the time, and or I don't like her friends. They're not appreciating that. I'm glad she does have friends. Not appreciating that. Wow, my husband has good health, and he makes me laugh. Now, they like to probably laugh more often and smile more often, but it's appreciating the smaller things or the little things that we have that we take for so much for granted. And I remember walking in the hospital a lot of times at night in chaplaincy, and you don't realize how fortunate you really are. And people are coming in and out.
We take
of
it
the
for
hospital.
granted.
Yeah.
We take things for granted.
So I always, in this particular format of happiness, pose a question. Uh-oh. Here it is, my brothers and sisters.
Q&A time.
What things in your significant other or spouse can you begin focusing on in order to make yourself happier in your relationship? Or should that be for me? I got to get my co-host in there because I'm doing all the projecting. Should I read that question again?
Please, because I have to process it.
So I have to process it. I could read it to my producer around there.
He's trying to stay out of it. The producer's trying to stay out of it.
Trying to stay out of it. I try to incorporate him in here. What things in your spouse or significant other can you begin focusing on in order to make yourself happier in your relationship?
That goes for both me and her.
That is true, but
Okay.
she's not here, so you have to speak for only your side. Look, my producer said, "Get it right." When the peanut gallery speak, they never want to say what their part in their relationship, what they can focus on better. Oh, I think I heard him. He says,
Spend more time together.
wisely.
Spend time wisely and value each other.
Explain the value part. I thought you already valued her. So
I do.
Explain the value part.
Explain the value part.
Yes.
That's a tricky question because I'm not trying to get into trouble tonight.
It's your answer. How you gonna get in trouble?
We have to do a better job. We have to do a better job as for not taking each other for granted and build finances together. Be on the same page when it comes to finances.
So what's the number one?
Taking each other for granted.
And what do you mean by that? Do you take her for granted? Or do
No.
you think you take her for granted?
No, but sometimes we get too content and comfortable. Like I was talking to someone earlier today and I was like, it's a process getting into getting married. It's even a bigger process and bigger work staying in the marriage, maintaining it. So it's maintaining it, and because when you've been married for a long time, you have that you become complacent. You become complacent, and we don't even know sometimes.
Okay.
We don't even know sometimes that we're being complacent.
Okay.
So next thing you know, you're drifting apart.
So when we were out on the balcony and you received the call, and I bring up that part about you should be collecting data
Mm-hmm.
on your
I remember that.
Your significant
I remember
other or your
that.
spouse.
Mm-hmm. Collecting data.
Why? Because in this part about happiness, people do change. Like they change their taste in things. what used to make them, real excited about this or that, they change.
And that's when you, as a couple, a spouse, you need to pay attention. That lack of paying attention, because I know I can say this: my fiance pays more attention to me more than my own self.
Yeah, but you're a man that has like 3 jobs. You have 3 jobs, and you have your entrepreneurship, and then there is being a father, and then there's being a friend, there's being an uncle, there's being a big brother. So it's something that I said one time. When you have all those jobs and those tasks, and people are pulling, you have to be able to carve out that time for yourself. Okay, and in that time, we have to be able to regroup. I have to give it up to the ladies. They go to the sauna, they get their
Oh
hair,
yeah, they
but
get
their
the
feet
hair.
done, they
Yep.
get their hair. I mean, the whole. I don't look. Women, the sisters work hard, and we're proud of them. Um, but I don't think we as men um, do enough relaxation.
Because we're constantly on the go,
Right.
trying to provide, be a provider.
So even when we look at some of our brothers, we think, wow, they're very childish. They like to play this game, that game, and drink, and they don't really like to work. But for them, their happiness lies in their relaxation. For us, it's more of a task in trying to be happy because we have to get so much done, and we have to find that medium where we can be happy.
Okay.
But that was your question, so I'm not trying to take over.
No,
Sorry.
no. That's a good one. That's a good one. What'll make us happier? What'll make me happier from a man's perspective?
Yeah, from a man's perspective,
What
but
will
it
make me
says
happier?
things in your spouse can you begin to focus on in her, right? That you can focus on in order to make yourself happy.
Financial discipline. I'll summarize it right there. Financial discipline.
But are we going to get into finances? But why would that make you happy?
Because financial discipline will help us with our family.
Okay, but why would it specifically focusing that on her about financial literacy or discipline? How would that make you happy? Because it's
Because
helping support them.
it'll provide financial security. You have a peace of mind.
Oh, you have a peace of mind.
You'll have a peace of mind.
that someone besides you are focusing
Yeah.
on finance.
Right.
Okay. So let's jump forward and say this. Who's gonna handle when the time comes, which is really like,
Literally a year away.
oh well, that's right around the corner. It's less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna handle the finances?
Okay. I guess I will be handling the fun.
But why?
We'll jointly
Go ahead and
handle the
drink you
finances.
some water, because it looks like you
'Cause it's
might
like-
need some water.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid getting in trouble today. I'm trying to avoid getting into trouble today. So, we do the finances together as a team. And I'll leave it there.
Well, she can jump on me then.
Yeah.
Because if that is to be so, right, is that just your income, or is that her income included?
Both.
That's both. So when it comes in, it's coming in as a joint whole,
It's a joint whole.
and
And
then you're gonna
we
you said
throw.
you were gonna handle it. You didn't say we. You
no,
said you were
yeah.
gonna handle it. So from that point, then you bring it in together, and then you begin to dispense out what needs to be paid.
Right, but on the contrary, women like to have their own money. So it's a fine line. You got to be very careful.
Okay.
Women want to have their own money. They want to have their own money to buy whatever they want, whatever they want, without being questioned.
So, okay. One of the things I wrote is, why is financial literacy so important? And this is what I wrote. It is important because it equips us with knowledge and skills we need to manage money effectively.
Mm-hmm.
You can have money and you can work every day of your life and not know how to manage your money. It took me such a long time. Can I have a confession? I can tell you I blew
Confession moment.
it. Yeah, I blew it. To my defense, we can have family members, i.e. mom and dad, who are supposed to kind of guide us in handling finances.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get it. It was not taught to me on no kind of levels. If you got it, it's like, don't spend it all in one place. But that's not teaching you financial literacy. It's not teaching you how to handle your money.
Or how to save.
Yeah. So I'm going to be very candid. So when I was doing my looking around and as we like to call research somewhat, one of the things I did was looked at books in my library on my shelf. But what I did was I started writing down books I wanted to give as a gift, not only to my children, but to people I know. Because if you care about them, you want them to be literate.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to be aware. Or for my younger group, as they say, stay woke. You want to be woke.
Stay woke.
Yeah. So handling your finances, or your, as we like to call our business, I hear a lot of people throwing out words like, I got to get on my grind. I'm about my business. And do not know how to handle money. But you're out there trying to be an entrepreneur. And I'm not knocking that, because I'm glad and I'm proud that you are having a desire to be an entrepreneur. But if you don't know how to handle money, how's your business going to grow?
Right.
So I say that because you're a man that has a business. So if you have a business, yeah, I'm going to throw you on the hot seat again. Throw you on the hot seat again.
She's going to call in a minute. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to get blazing here. What do you think should be an emergency fund? How much you think emergency fund? And what is an emergency fund?
Emergency fund can consist of anything, either
It can?
medical, medical emergency.
Okay.
Something happened to the car.
Oh, okay. What we're using it for?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Medical emergency. Something happened to the car, and for my own, I have family across the water
Okay.
who depend on me.
Okay.
So
But that's
for
different
support.
than an emergency fund.
Right. No, it's part of the emergency fund.
It's part of.
It's
that's
part of
how
my
you got
emergency.
the
It's part of my emergency
Okay.
fund, because, like, if mom's in the hospital or something's going on, my mom is on a fixed income, so it's like, mom needs that support,
Right.
and her income, she's retired, so her income that comes in is almost little to nothing.
Right.
So I'm
So
the
what you
one.
think emergency
so,
fund for, not necessarily for you, but for the average brother out there that's struggling, maybe single,
emergency
planning on
fund
getting
you should have at least $5,000.
Okay, so it used to be about 40 years ago, $500 used to be the emergency fund.
Oh, now it's about, you got to have a couple thousand in the
You
account.
got and I wouldn't necessarily say 5,000. I would say anywhere from 3 to 5, especially if you're single or you're getting married, or for a lot of brothers and sisters out there that have blended families. That's the word I'm looking for. Blended families. One of the first things, I know people want to attack debt, and we're going to get there. But I will say before you get to that debt, you really need to have an emergency fund. Emergency funds help you for when life unexpectancies happen.
Save it for a rainy day.
Yeah, we used to call it the rainy day fund for us who are of age. It used to be the rainy day fund. But a lot of times it's commingled with your savings. And that's not what the emergency fund was supposed to be with. It's supposed to be set apart.
Mm-hmm.
I ask that because most of us, believe it or not, don't have a rainy day fund or an emergency fund. We have a paycheck to paycheck kind of lifestyle. And so when you have a paycheck to paycheck lifestyle, where would you begin?
When you say where to begin,
Where would you begin with your financial literacy?
first you got to start off with savings. You got to be disciplined. You have to have that will of discipline when it comes to finances. If you're just starting off, you have to at least pay yourself.
You said pay yourself.
Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself.
Pay yourself first before anything else, before the water bill, light bill, rent, or mortgage, or anything. Pay yourself first.
You ain't turn that joker off.
Yes, no, you pay yourself first. And then you take that, and then you put it aside, and you can start either your emergency funds or save for a rainy day fund. You can start it there, but you pay yourself first. Then you disperse everything else.
Woo! Well, hold on. I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna disagree with my co-host.
Okay.
I'm gonna disagree.
Okay.
But this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do, my brothers and sisters. I disagree, and you heard it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna read this story about money. One of my story. I'm an Advent reader. I like stories. They have a principle behind it. And to learn those principles are to be instilled in us so we can make change. And it reads like this. Many of you think that the churches only wants your money, but stop and think about this mentally. When you go to the grocery store, do you say this store just wants my money, which they do.
Mm-hmm.
When you buy a new car, do you say General Motors just wants my money? They do. When you go to the mall, do you say the mall just wants my money? Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
You don't say that about the grocer. You don't say that about the dealership. And you don't say that about the mall. We don't say that about the cable. We do say that about the cable bill, though. Yeah, we do say that about the cable bill, and we also say about the post office and the stamps. we say it all the time that why they keep going up? Why they keep going up? And other things, we expect them to grow up. And here it is. The value you place on your food you need makes it legitimate for you to pay for the food you receive. So you're expecting it to go up. So you don't have any real qualms about that. Just like the car, you're expecting to pay that high price. You're expecting to pay for that amount of clothes. So here it is. It says, to find what you need. In other words, it's not that these places just want your money, but they are indeed providing something you absolutely need. And here it is in a nutshell. We need God. We need spiritual help. We need spiritual light. We need training for our children.
Mm-hmm.
We need to know God's way. God's way. If we can go to the grocery store for physical food, then we ought to be willing to come to the house of God for spiritual food without whining about it. Let me say that again. Come to his house for spiritual food without whining about it or crying about it. The question is not, does the church want my money? The question is, does the church serve good food?
Bam.
I thought it was wise because we really don't talk about them. When we talk about the church and money, it's always in a negative kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And it should not be so. And I'll save my other story for later. My co-host kind of peeped at it. But let me get back to what I was talking about that I disagreed. He says, pay yourself always first. Now, that's not the part I disagree with him about. The part I disagreed about was I asked him, what's the first thing we need to do? And this is what I would recommend. And I had to learn. The first thing that we need to do is sit down and write down that debt, which we call having a budget. Because before anybody can get anything, I got to know what I'm working with. If you don't know what you're working with, then you're working to make money that you don't even know how to put away.
Or how to manage.
Right. So I can't just say, I'm going to pay myself. You know, that sounds, it's great. And I can bring in the spiritual part about because God has allowed me to have health, my faculties are working and my vehicle's working and give nothing to the body, right? The church body or the body of Christ. But budget. Because if you're budgeting, then I know what I'm working with. And if you don't know what you're working with, you can't pay yourself or anybody else.
Okay.
So when you're sitting down with your significant other, right, since you're going to handle it, one of the things I always say is, even if you're not good at money management and you're better at spending, the way to get someone in is say, let's sit down and write down what we're working with. Because this is what I found out. What's important to you might not be important to her. And what's important to her might not be important to you. And that's another reason why you need to sit down with your significant other, or for us brothers who are single, right, or sisters. Budgeting helps you in so many ways because it shows where your money is going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a proponent of, and me and my wife, she's probably gonna be cracking up. I'm a big proponent in trying to pay off my stuff like all at one time, right? Just to I can't stand. I do not like debt at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just because I learned the hard way, and you don't want to learn the hard way when your credit score goes bad and and your money is not making it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at it and someone says, well, you make plenty of money. I don't. It's all gone. Why is it all gone? Because I did not budget. So I'm gonna let you speak on that. So I told you why I didn't quite agree. I agree with you do want to pay yourself. You do want to put that emergency fund away. But before I can pay myself, I need to prepare myself for what I'm dealing with. See, I'm talking to a man that probably got everything together because he has a lot of responsibility. So to him, it's second nature. Like, I'm going to pay myself. Why? Because I have everything organized and structured, and because I have things on. We can have banks pay some of our bills, like on the 1st or the 15th. When we go to the grocery store, some people pay right there where they can take in your utility bills and all that, and the cable bill. You can pay it right there. You know, you can pay for their phone bill right through their phone. So there's a lot of mechanisms to take your money, but they won't give you a lot of mechanisms to save a whole
money.
lot of money.
I agree.
So the setup is, I want you to have all these wonderful things, but I ain't going to tell you how to pay for them. So, in other words, I'm going to set you up for failure. I'm going to tell you how great and wonderful these things are, that you can get as much as you want, as much as you can handle. And then when the statement come in, and it comes in that little white envelope, you be like, I got time. You think you got time?
No, you don't.
You don't have time. This is where credit score is going back. But I'm going to let you speak on it.
See, I still stand on the premise that you need to pay yourself first, because if you don't, you're not going to have anything. You're not going to have anything. The money comes in. Actually, the money is gone before the money even hits your account. It's gone. For those who are living paycheck to paycheck, it's gone. Because the bills are due, rent's due, water, light bill, all the utilities, phone, and if you have responsibilities, your children, you know, the money's gone because you've already pre-planned what needs to be done or what you have to do. But if you take it upon yourself to be disciplined enough, financial discipline, my dad taught me that, and my mom. If you take that out the way, and then and after that, let the chips fall where they may. After that, pay this bill, or wait another week to pay that bill, or with this bill, so you can have extra money on hand. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the world we live in now.
And I'm going to laugh. You know I'm laughing, right? You know why I'm laughing, man.
I think I have an idea. Yep. I think I have an idea.
Everybody does not come from a two-parent home. And everyone who does come from a two-parent home does not get taught financial literacy. And I just got through explaining what financial literacy is, right? But check this out. Financial literacy, everyone should understand it in its everyday practical form, right? And this is what they wrote. Banking, budgeting, handling debt, credit and investing. Now, if I don't get taught that, how in the world I'm going to learn how to pay my own self? Because I have already started off on the wrong premises with spending too much.
But when you realize that you can't get what you want,
you see what you just said. When you realize,
but
there's a
when
lot
you
of people
realize-
don't wake up.
when you realize that you can't get what you want, or you want that nice watch, like that watch you got on right there, and you want that watch really bad, but you can't because you got to pay the phone bill, you got to pay the cable bill, you got to pay the internet for those who work remotely, stuff like that.
But that still doesn't constitute about you handling money correctly, because there are a lot of people who pay themselves, right? And I'm going to get to this right now. Paying yourself. So, my sisters who pay themselves and pay themselves very well in red bottoms, okay? Who pay themselves very well. In
You said red bottoms
or Victoria's Secrets. They pay themselves very well. And very well they do. It's for my brothers who like to pay themselves very well and dress very well. And even in their tennis shoe department.
Because they all live for now. They
So,
live
but-
for
but you
now.
said- but they're paying themselves. Are they not? They're paying themselves.
They're paying themselves.
Because they're spending.
They're not saving, but they're paying themselves.
But you didn't say that. That's not what you said. You said pay yourself. So they're actually, right, are actually paying themselves, right? Because the money that they've earned, they're spending it upon themselves and they're paying themselves, right?
Okay.
Because that is a form of pay. I'm paying myself, right? I'm taking the money that I worked hard for to buy what I want to buy and spend it on on myself. Not on my girlfriend, not on my spouse, significant other, fiance. Why? Myself. So when I take my money that I worked hard for and I do that, I'm actually spending it on myself, right?
Okay.
I'm actually, because I'm receiving that, right? So what I'm saying to you is, you didn't say savings. What
I
you
didn't say
said was
savings.
pay yourself.
Pay yourself.
So they're paying themselves.
But they're
Right.
not saving it.
Okay. So now we got clarity about
Okay.
the
But they're not
difference.
saving it.
So
Right.
they're not saving it. So I go back to say originally about handling money. If you don't get taught that, then where are you going to get taught at? So if you're learning the hard way, then you need to be around some brothers and sisters that are going to be willing
To help you.
to show you.
To show you and help
Or
you.
you're going to have to go get help. Why? Because one of the first things they always teach, you can go sit down at any financial institution. It doesn't even matter what banker. What does the banker say the first thing? One of the first things they ask you. One, they want to know if you got an account here.
If you have an
Then
account
two,
here.
Yeah, then two, they're going to be like, how much do you have
How
saved?
much do you
And
have
what is
saved?
And then what's they're going to ask? They're going to ask for your debt.
Your debt.
Right?
Your
They
debt.
want to know, do you have a budget?
A budget.
That's one of the first things they're gonna know. And then if you don't, even when you buy a house, one of the things they're gonna be like, okay, since your credit score is not here and here, then we have to get you here, right? And in order to get you here, they're gonna say, well, you're gonna need to cut this, this, and this, and that. What are they doing? Making you a budget.
Making you a budget.
Right. To what? To achieve where you're trying to go. Mm-hmm. Right? And then the ownership becomes yours. Because why? They did the work for you to show you how to get there. And you're going to have to cut this out. You can't pay yourself. You're going to have to save. You need to have an emergency fund. Oh, that debt that you thought that can sit there for 5-6 years, now you want to buy a house. Oh, and it comes up on the credit score. And you thought you were going to let it go there for 7 years. But you're about to get married, so you got to get rid of the debt. So this is where budgeting comes in at. I'm having fun, but I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah.
You got to have a budget.
Yep.
Here's a man who has a business and works multiple jobs, and he will tell you that in order for him to stop some of what he's doing, to stop working those many jobs, you have to budget. Why? Because I have to bring down the debt in order for me to have the relaxation. So his payment, he's not saying it, but I'm going to say it for him. His payment is in this form. I have to budget to take out the debt so I can relax. And how I'm going to relax is by taking down the debt. I'm paying myself by doing that. That's how he's paying himself. You see how that works?
Okay.
You see how that works?
Okay.
Because that's where he gets to pay himself at. Through the relaxation, because he said it earlier, his relaxation is about the budget. Why? Because it's too much debt. Why? So I won't have to take in so many jobs. Why? So I can relax. Why? Because that's how I'm going to pay myself.
Okay.
So when I originally say that, I said I was waiting for that phone call. But so check this out. What do you think the best thing that came out of that 2008 financial crisis?
People were forced to improvise.
Okay.
People were forced to improvise. People was forced to come up with ideas to take care of their families.
You know what they said?
What did I say?
The best thing that came out of that financial crisis, was that people was more apt to learn financial literacy, how to handle their money.
Right.
Because of what happened to them and people losing their houses and jobs and the damage that it has done. Now I want to be financially responsible because I took such a hit that I need to be wise in how I deal with my money. The old folks say it this way for the people who are in church-wise. They like to say, before you make that move, you might want to ask Jesus. I'm just saying. That's what they used to say. So before you do that, you might want to ask him.
You might want to ask Jesus.
You might want to ask Jesus because he got the right answer for you. And this is what money does. Money does not change a person. The more money you have, it just really reveals who you are. Money doesn't change you. It just really reveals who you really are. Right. So if you're a person that has money and you're you think, oh, they're not arrogant, they're not mean. Let them come up short with some money, and then you can see the real attitude. Because it does not change you, it just only reveals who you really are. Yeah. And then I go to look, and I was like, oh, I had to ask the ultimate question. Are men better at handling money or debt than women?
No.
What?
Not all. Not all. No.
I was using
Because-
a generalization.
No, not all. No, there are some women who manage money better than men,
Okay.
and vice versa. I've seen women who handle money better than men. You know, you got men who come, they pay themselves
Okay.
instead of budgeting or savings.
I noticed you like that principle a lot. Go ahead.
They pay themselves. And how do they pay themselves? They buy a brand new car, or they put a down payment on a car, or they buy new clothes, try to be flashy, you know, and forgetting that there's some other prioritization. Prioritization plays a role in that as well.
Right.
The money priority, they don't know how to prioritize. There are some men out there who don't know how to prioritize money.
No, that's very true.
Okay, they don't know how to prioritize.
And I admit I was one of them.
Okay.
Was, past tense.
They don't know how to prioritize. But fortunately enough, they have a spouse or a wife who knows how to prioritize and who could be the voice of reason.
Okay. So you're saying that men in general handle debt better
Differently.
than women?
No, they don't handle it better than women. It's balanced.
It's balanced.
It's balanced.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, the survey says that women handle debt slightly better than men.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Hold on, even you did or you did?
No, because initially it was like 50-50.
It's
like
50-50?
50-50. There are some men out there who are terrible when it comes to money.
It's more like 56 to 51%. It's more.
But then the flip side of that is, if you have a man who's disciplined with money and knows how to handle money, the streets and people will say he's cheap.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with being frugal.
Yeah, that's just a subtle way to say you cheap. You know,
To whose standard, though?
you know. Oh, he doesn't like to spend money. You know, he doesn't like to do this. He doesn't like to do that.
See, because people don't know what you. Okay, so where you're originally from, right? This is considered. Let me say this. This is considered the world's richest country. Okay, and I tell you why. 75% of the whole entire world's wealth runs through this country. 75% of it.
That's a high percentage.
And you have 7+ billion people living on this earth. Okay? Here in Atlanta is a financial capital here. You'd be amazed how many financial institutions are downtown.
The Treasury's here.
Yeah.
Isn't
You're
the Treasury
just-
here? Part of the Treasury's here.
You would just be really surprised. So you take it for granted that you see all this, but yet people are not financially literate. And it's very sad
Very.
because you have so much resources and yet there's nothing being really done or taught unless you go in certain circles or environments where you long to be taught. Then when you're longing for something, then you'll go out and find it,
But then again, you have certain races who know how to spread that generational wealth, to create generational wealth by teaching their children.
well, you know what? I would agree with you maybe 40 years or so ago, but the times have changed because we have so much access to so much information to deal with resources. So why isn't it being taught? How come we do not teach? Okay, prime example. Why is it that most children do not know how credit works or how to deal with credit? Why do they wait to college and they open up a bill? It's like, wow, I owe these people $40,000. And I didn't get what I expect for $40,000 for my education. I'm using this as an example. I remember one of my children says, Dad, where is the post office? What do you mean, where's the post office? It's like, because to them, they don't have to mail out any mail to anyone because everything is electronic. They don't even teach them how to write cursive. So handwriting to them is almost obsolete. So I said that to set up this. It's really our obligation to teach them how to handle money. And the earlier you teach a child how to handle money, the better they will become. One of the things I taught one of my grandchildren is never to spend all your money. If your mom gives you $20, you give me half, I put away. You take the other half, you have to pay, I taught them a tithe. So you pay your tithe, right? Now, you can take this money, what you have left over, and you can spend it. But once it's all gone, you can't come to the bank. Why? Because it's teaching them how to manage what they have. So if I took them to the dollar store and I says, hey, you got $5. Once that $5 is gone, it's over with. Now, if you go over the $5, just remember, you owe. What is it teaching them? I got to teach you how to budget. Why? Because if I keep giving you and giving you,
you're not going to know the value. You're going to spend it all. You're not going to know the value of it.
You're never going to know the value of it because you haven't earned it yet.
Right.
Now, when you come to become a teenager, what is the value you learned? I have to work. So the value comes in, I work to earn a check that now I get to somewhat make a decision on how do I begin to manage this money or spend it. And that's where budgeting comes in at.
Okay.
Because now I'm making you, if you want those Jordans for $250.
Yep.
And you got a $150 check, but yet you think I'm going to put my money to it, you got another thing coming. So this is where budgeting come in at. You can take this much and hold it, or you can use app programs to say, hey, like what is that? I got it on my phone. Chloe, where you make 4 equal payments to pay for some tennis shoes. So
I know the one you're talking about. I just saw it the other day.
Yeah, so I was shocked. I was at what's that? Habits?
Something like that. Yeah.
Tennis shoe store. So you can scan the app, put in, and you can make 4 equal payments to get those same kind of tennis shoes. But it's teaching them how to use resources in budgeting.
Yep.
So
our producer wants us to wrap up.
So he wants us to wrap up.
Yep, he's giving a signal. He's calling us home.
The helicopter.
Yeah.
So here I have 4 walls of personal finances. These things you need to keep on living: food, shelter, clothing, and transportation. But you need one, an emergency fund. Two, focus on your debt.
Mm-hmm.
Three, save for retirement. This is what we don't
We don't do.
We don't do.
We don't
because
do.
We don't talk about it.
Yep.
But you need to save for retirement. For those who have children and grandchildren, you might want to think about a 529, a college fund.
And what does the Bible say about that? What does the Bible say about that? I wasn't going to let this one go. I have to put it out here.
Go ahead and put it on out there.
The Bible says about what you just said, to piggyback on it, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children.
Okay, but what you haven't said the book or the chapter
Proverbs 13, chapter 22.
No, Proverbs 13, right? Chapter 13, verse.
Proverbs chapter 13, verse 22.
There you go.
Apologies out there. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. For some reason, that particular chapter and verse keeps coming back to me. Just to add on to what you just said, we don't save. We don't save for retirement. And what happens is when we don't save for retirement, we fall in a situation where our children end up taking care of us.
Well, believe it or not, before there was Social Security, that's why they had so many children. The children were to take care of the parents, believe it or not, and to work out on the farm. A lot of it has occurred, and those who lived in the inner city tried to go about getting higher education. But I'm gonna read one more story, and then we're about to go, my brothers and sisters, on money. If you spend all of your life working and have nothing left over, then that means somehow you have failed in your work. You have failed in your work. Borrowing something catastrophic if for year after year and decade after decade you are still living from paycheck to paycheck, then you have made some decisions in your life that have been generated, as they say, from Madison Avenue and not by the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
Which is very crucial.
That is deep.
You should be building, not tearing down, building they like to call it a nest egg, but you need to be building wealth. In that, understanding how wealth happens. Well, my brothers and sisters, it's been a pleasure talking about finances and about can men handle them. We will see you back here
next week.
Blessings to you.
Have a great week, everyone.